This looks like a normal house, just like the one you live in. But right now, in this exact moment, it is quietly stealing money from the people inside it. There is one tiny mistake hiding inside almost every single home on the planet, and it is silently doubling electricity bills worldwide. You won't see it happening, you won't feel it happening, but it is running right now, this second, somewhere inside your own living room. Millions of people around the world open their bills, pay double what they should, and never once figure out why it keeps happening to them. Today, for the first time, we are exposing the hidden mistake that power companies quietly hope you will never, ever discover. Stay with us until the very end, because the fix we're about to reveal costs less than a single cup of your morning coffee. Every single month, that envelope arrives in the mailbox, and every single month, it somehow feels a little heavier than the last. Families cut off the air conditioning, they shut off the lights early every evening, and still, no matter what they sacrifice, the bill keeps climbing higher. They blame the summer heat, they blame the power company, but the real answer was never sitting outside their front door. The truth had been hiding inside their own walls the entire time, tucked quietly inside their own electrical sockets. A team of experts studied thousands of homes across the country, and what they eventually uncovered left even them completely stunned. Some households were burning through double the electricity of their neighbors without owning a single extra appliance. Every device in the house was supposedly off, but behind that darkened screen, each one was still quietly drinking power in complete silence. This silent, invisible power drain actually has an official name, and almost nobody watching this has ever heard it before. Researchers call it phantom power, and it has been quietly hiding inside your home for years without you ever noticing it once. Every charger left in the wall, every game console, every microwave clock, all of them are feeding electricity non-stop, day and night. One single mistake repeated in almost every home on planet Earth, and in just a moment, it is finally about to be revealed to you. It all started with one ordinary engineer sitting alone one night, staring at a bill he genuinely could not explain. Instead of accepting it, he decided to test something that almost nobody else had ever bothered checking for themselves. One by one, he unplugged everything in the house, except for the devices that people casually call off. And still, the meter kept turning, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, but it never actually stopped moving. That was the exact moment he finally understood something crucial, that the word off doesn't always actually mean off. Dozens of devices scattered across his own house were secretly running around the clock, 24 hours a day, without his knowledge. When he finally sat down and calculated the real cost of it all, his jaw dropped in complete disbelief. These so-called sleeping devices were quietly adding up to nearly half of his entire monthly electricity bill. And he was far from alone. Homes across the entire world were quietly making this exact same costly mistake night after night. Independent energy researchers later confirmed his findings, proving that this hidden drain was not only real, but genuinely massive in scale. The researchers gave this phenomenon a chilling, unforgettable nickname, calling it simply the electricity vampire. It doesn't bite and it never screams, it simply feeds silently every single second of every single day without ever stopping. And here's the scariest part of all. You have almost certainly fed it today already without even realizing you did it. But simply knowing the vampire existed was never going to be enough. They needed to understand exactly how it was feeding. So the team opened up every single device in the house, one after another, and began carefully tracing the wires inside. What they eventually found, buried inside those devices, permanently changed the way they thought about electricity forever. Get ready, because the explanation you're about to hear is far simpler than you think and far more shocking than you expect. Here is the plain truth. Nearly every device you leave plugged in continues drawing power, even while it appears completely off. Engineers have a name for this quiet, constant drain. They call it standby power, or sometimes phantom load. Televisions, microwaves, game consoles, phone chargers, and home routers, every single one of them does this quietly. Why does this happen at all? Because these devices are always waiting, ready to switch on again the instant you press a button. That convenient instant on feature comes with a hidden cost attached, one that runs quietly every second, all year long without pause. On its own, a single device seems completely harmless, drawing just a few stray watts that seem hardly worth worrying about. But now multiply those few watts by 10 separate devices, then multiply that again by 24 hours, then by 365 days. Suddenly, those tiny, harmless watts transform into hundreds of hours worth of wasted electricity every single year. And when it finally shows up on your bill, that waste doesn't look small at all. It looks almost like an entire second bill. This right here is the actual mistake: leaving devices plugged into the wall instead of truly switching them off. And to be clear, this isn't laziness and it isn't carelessness either. It is simply something that nobody ever bothered teaching us. Power companies rarely explain any of this to their customers because staying quiet about it keeps their profits comfortably high. So the research team decided to test a remarkably simple fix, one so easy that it almost seemed too good to be true. Step 1 is simple. Unplug your chargers the very moment your device finishes charging, instead of leaving them in the wall. Step 2. Invest in a power strip with a real physical switch and get into the habit of turning it off every single night. Step 3. Unplug the devices you rarely use, like a spare television or an old game console gathering dust in the corner. Step 4. Don't forget the kitchen. Microwaves and coffee makers are quietly draining power in there too, around the clock. None of these steps cost you a single dollar. They only cost you a few extra seconds of a brand new habit. To prove it worked, the researchers tracked one ordinary home for a full 30 days using nothing but these simple habits. What happened by the end of that month genuinely surprised everyone involved, including the researchers who ran the experiment. The electricity bill dropped, and not just by a little bit either. It dropped by nearly half of its original amount. Same house, same family, same appliances as before. The only thing that changed was one small mistake finally being fixed. No new equipment was purchased, no expensive solar panels were installed. It came down to nothing more than simple awareness. This one tiny change was quietly saving that family hundreds of dollars every single year without them lifting a finger. Now multiply those savings across an entire city and then across an entire country. The numbers quickly become staggering. One small habit, hidden quietly inside millions of homes around the world, could realistically end up changing everything. But here's the twist nobody wants to admit. Most people will watch this video and still forget to unplug anything tonight. That's because habits, no matter how small, are almost always harder to break than any bill is to simply pay. So here's the real question worth asking yourself. Will you actually be one of the few people who changes after this? Weeks later, the families who actually tried this simple experiment could hardly believe what their own bills were showing them. Some families saved enough money to comfortably cover an entire grocery trip every single month without spending anything extra. Other families finally used those savings to fix small things around the house they had been putting off for years. It really came down to one habit, one single switch, and one small decision repeated quietly every single night. That one small habit was genuinely all it took to undo years and years of silent, unnoticed waste inside the home. The mistake was never about stupidity, and it never was about carelessness. It was simply a case of not knowing. And now that you finally know the truth, the electricity vampire has absolutely nothing left in your home to feed on. Your bill was never broken to begin with. It was simply reflecting a quiet habit that you had never once noticed. Fix that one small habit, and quite honestly, the rest of the bill has a way of fixing itself over time. There was never any magic involved here, and there was no luck either. It was simply electricity behaving exactly as it always has. In the end, the only real thing that changed in that house was what its owners finally chose to pay attention to. But this vampire, as it turns out, has cousins. Other hidden mistakes are still out there, still feeding, still going completely unnoticed. One of them is hiding quietly inside your refrigerator. Another is hiding just as quietly inside your water heater. We haven't shown you those secrets just yet, but rest assured we absolutely will very soon. Because the honest truth is this: your electricity bill has far more secrets hidden inside it than just this one alone. And once you truly start noticing these things, you will never be able to look at your own home the same way again. So tell me honestly right now, how many off devices do you think are secretly still running somewhere inside your house?